Good morning. I don't know who else saw anything yesterday, but saw the fucking northern lights, dude. That was crazy. Really chilling at home. And my stepmom gets up, she starts running. She's like, oh my god, we have to go. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, oh my god. She's like, Robin just texted us. There's the northern lights. And so obviously I hop up instantly because I'm like, once in a lifetime opportunity, I gotta see the northern lights, right? And then we I'm like, Dad, I'm like, get up, we gotta go. I'm like, we gotta go. I'm like, get up, it's the northern lights. He's like, what? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Get up, we literally have to go. So he's like, man, I can't drive. We're like, I'm like, Dad, nobody's asking you to drive, dude. I'm like, get up, we're gonna go. Like, and so we drive up, and we're driving up this hill because it's like a mile and a half up the road to get like a clear view of the area, right? And we're driving up there, dog. And I'm serious, like, it was like, as we were driving up there, we're looking around and there's not shit, bro. And we're like, okay, is Robin like fucking with us? Or is this like a metaphor? Or is she fucking high or some shit? And as we slowly get to the top of the hill, though, I didn't know if like my eyes were playing a trick on me or if it maybe was city lights, but Colorado really has no light pollution, especially compared to Vegas that I'm used to, right? And it seriously looked like this green glow, and at first I was like, I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me. I was like, guys, but look. And so we all turn off the lights in the car, we pull over, and we're on top of the hill. And we're watching it, you could see where it came from, literally all the way behind the mountains, moved forward towards us, and then it kind of ended towards the right. And just like kind of a green glow. So it was we were still like debating whether it was the city lights reflecting on the clouds or whatever. And then my dad he goes, dude, fucking look. And he goes, look to the right, it's red. We look to the right, dude. The fucking sky, there's a literal giant red circle, bro. And you can watch it move. And like, it was like an amorphous blob, bro. And it was like, if you've ever been on acid, and obviously as humans we have like a three-dimensional spatial awareness, like you have depth perception. You could tell that this tree is in front of this tree that I'm recording right now, right? But so when you're on like acid and mushrooms, you'll see like tracers that actually go through the three dimensions. And it's something that I've only really ever experienced when I was on psychedelics, except for when I saw those northern lights, dude. You could see like literally in 3D this whole amorphous green, like it wasn't even made of anything. It was like, to me, it was like how H.P. Lovecraft writes the story The Color Out of Space. He was like, it was a color that your brain almost couldn't process. Like, he's like, it was like purple and orange, but you know what I mean? Like, it's literally, it's something the human brain can't even process. And obviously, I'm not saying, obviously the Northern Lights wasn't that crazy. But dude, it was insane, man. It was insane. I don't know if anybody else saw them, bro, but those fucking lights were some shit that I've only ever seen something like that when I was tripping balls on psychedelics, for real. But yeah, crazy shit though. Also yesterday we'd read the beginning of the Necronomicon, right? I went to work, or it was the day before. Was it yesterday? No, I went to work yesterday. Brian didn't even do this shit. What's up, Jenner Green? Shout out you. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Times two, oh my god. Fucking baller over here, dude. Jesus Christ. Nah, but yeah, we had read the first part of the Necronomicon, right? I go to work yesterday because we own a welding shop. And so I was helping install some rails in this fucking 3-story house. And yeah, I appreciate it, Jenner Green. I appreciate it. Thanks for the views. Thanks for the support, dude. And but so we're installing these rails, right? We go back to the shop. We got it all done real fast. And so I'm going through the Necronomicon, and in the intro page, basically the intro page, is the first amulet of the book. So I made almost the exact recreation of it. I'm not gonna lie, I fucked up. On the corners, I had all the intersecting lines continue through instead of ending and just forming a square within the square. So I'm not gonna lie, I fucked up the amulet. But that was weird though. That was weird. I just happened to make that yesterday, and then all of a sudden, um, half of America gets the fucking northern lights. I'm not saying I caused it. Obviously, that's, you know, I'm not that kooky. But interesting coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, we got through the preface. We're gonna get to this bench right here. So like I said, I thought it was actually really interesting because this bench is a memorial to a kid that had died. Or like right here's a little private lake, right? But behind it, I'll show you guys later, is a little stream that runs through our whole town. And this kid literally, I don't even think it was a kid. I think it was like 20 something, man. And it was like the middle of winter, so all the, all the snow was melting real hard and the river was rushing. And it pulled this kid into the storm drains and he fucking drowned in there like some Pennywise shit, man. Rest in peace. So this is his memorial bench right here. But yeah, we're gonna read we'll read the introduction now. We'll just read it until it's just boring. And then, yeah, that's it. That's it. Then we're gonna dip. All right, guys. Rest in peace, Matthew Daniel Josie, 1989 to 2009. Yeah, so he was like 20 years old. 20 years old and he drowned. Crazy. All right. Make sure my audio's good and everything. Oh yeah, my is in the fucking, in my jacket. 1 second, guys, my bad. All right, so we're gonna continue where we left off. Like I said, Simon Necronomicon. I'm not saying you should practice anything. I'm not saying that anything in this book is true. All I'm saying, thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. A little something, something, okay? They kept calling me Benson Boone. Kept calling me Benson Boone yesterday. But, I'm not saying to practice any of this stuff. I'm not saying any of it's true. My point is, if you dig deep enough, you can find the truth in anything. Do I think this is the authentic Necronomicon? Of course not. That would be stupid. Anything's possible, though. It could be. I don't think so, but, I'm not God, so I don't know. So, amen. Praise our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Yeah. In order to defeat the enemy, you got to know the enemy. That's why you got to read shit like this. Because then you learn how the devil and the forces of evil think, and then you can know how to defeat them. Know what I mean? So we're going to start out with a quote by Aleister Crowley, the beast himself, the founder of Thelema. Our work is therefore historically authentic, the rediscovery of the Sumerian tradition. Introduction. In the mid-1920s, roughly 2 blocks from where the Warlock shop once stood in Brooklyn Heights, lived a quiet, reclusive man, an author of short stories who eventually divorced his wife of 2 years and returned to his boyhood home in Rhode Island, where he lived with his 2 aunts. Born on August 20th, 1890, Howard Phillips Lovecraft would come to exert an impact on the literary world that dwarfs his initial successes with Weird Tales magazine in 1923. He died tragically at the age of 46 on March 15, 1937, a victim of cancer of the intestines and Bright's disease. though persons of such renown as Dashiell Hammett were to become involved in his work, anthologizing it for the publication both here and abroad. The reputation of a man generally conceded to be the father of Gothic horror did not really come into its own until the past few years, with the massive republication of his works by various houses, a volume of his selected letters, and his biography. In the July 1975 issue of The Atlantic Monthly, there appeared a story entitled There Are More Things, written by Jorge Luis Borges, to the memory of H.P. Lovecraft. This gesture by a man of the literary stature of Borges is certainly an indication that Lovecraft has finally ascended to his rightful place in the history of American literature, nearly 40 years after his death. Alright, man, well, best of luck. At least you superglued them together, I guess. Not superglued them to, like, your girlfriend's head or something, I don't know. Anyway, this guy. In the same year that Lovecraft found print in the pages of Weird Tales, another gentleman was seeing his name in print, but in the British tabloid press. New sinister revelations of Aleister Crowley read the front page of the Sunday Express. It former followers, or actually the wife of one of... Oh, wait. It concerned testimony by one of the notorious magician's former followers, or actually, the wife of one of his followers, that Crowley had been responsible for the death of her husband at the Abbey of Thelema in Cefalù, Sicily. The bad press, plus the imagined threat of secret societies, finally forced Mussolini to deport the great beast from Italy. Tales of horror filled the pages of the newspapers in England for weeks and months to come. Satanic rituals, black masses, animal sacrifice, and even human sacrifice were reported or blatantly lied about. For although many of the stories were simply not true or just fanciful exaggeration, one thing was certain. Morning, handsome. Thanks, Caesar. Good morning, yourself, beautiful. Anhedonic Gamer. Dude, your voice is great for reading. Anhedonia. I appreciate that, man. I mean, that's the point of the channel, I suppose. I hope you get over your anhedonia. I'd recommend, like, ketamine. Ketamine's real good. Just don't, everything in moderation. Don't be a drug addict. Don't be a retard. But I appreciate that, man. I do appreciate that. Aleister Crowley was a magician and one of the First Order. Born on October 12, 1875 in England, in the same county as Shakespeare, Edward Alexander Crowley grew up in a strict fundamentalist religious family, member of a sect called the Plymouth Brethren. The first person to call him by that name and number by which he would become famous after the reference in the book of Revelation, the Beast 666, was his mother, and he eventually took his appellation to heart. He changed his name to Aleister Crowley while still at Cambridge, and by that name, plus the number 666, he would never be long out of print or out of the newspapers. For he believed himself to be an incarnation of a god, an ancient one, the vehicle of a new age of man's history, the Aeon of Horus, displacing the old age of Osiris. In 1904, he had received a message from what Lovecraft might have called out of space, that contained the formula for a new world order, a new system of philosophy, science, art, and religion. But this new order had to begin with the fundamental part and common denominator of all four: magic. Does anyone want to know what page I am in the Bible? Yeah, what book are you in? I don't really care about the page. What book are you in of the Bible? And did you read it in order, or did you just skip there? That's the real question. My name is Side Piece D. I'm a 304 Virgo male. Okay. Side piece D, huh? Shit. Own it, I guess. If you're proud of that, go for it, brother. You do you, man. Alright, where were we at? In 1937, the year Lovecraft died, the Nazis banned the occult lodges of Germany, notable among them two organizations which Crowley had supervised, the AA and the OTO, the latter of which he was elected head in England, and the former which he founded himself. There are those who believe that Crowley was somehow magically responsible for the Third Reich, for two reasons. One, that the emergence of the New World Orders generally seemed to instigate holocausts, and two, that he is said to have influenced the mind of Adolf Hitler. While it is almost certain that Crowley and Hitler never met, it is known that Hitler belonged to several occult lodges in the early days after the First War. The symbol of one of these, the Thule Gesellschaft, which preached a doctrine of Aryan racial superiority, was the infamous swastika which Hitler had later adopted as the symbol of the Third Reich. That Crowley only despised Nazism in all its forms, however, is evident in many of his writings, notably the essays written in the late 30s. Crowley seemed to regard the Nazi phenomenon as a creature of Christianity in its anti-Semitism and severe moral restrictions concerning its adherents, which led to various types of lunacies and hang-ups that characterized many of the Reich's leadership. Yet, there can be perhaps little doubt that the chaos which engulfed the world in those years was prefigured and predicted in Crowley's Liber al vel Legis, the Book of the Law. I did not skip the streams lagging. My bad. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle of the woods-ish, so my service isn't amazing. So yeah. I mean, if you can't hear me or it cuts out at any point, just tell me so I can like restart it. But it's probably going to be a little laggy. My apologies. Alright, we are starting the section entitled The Mythos and the Magic. We can profitably compare the essence of most of Lovecraft's short stories with the basic themes of Crowley's unique system of ceremonial magic. While the latter was a sophisticated psychological structure intended to bring the initiate into contact with his higher self via a process of individuation that is active and dynamic, being brought about by the patient himself as opposed to the passive depth analysis of the Jungian adepts. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos was meant for entertainment. Scholars, of course, are able to find higher, ulterior motives in Lovecraft's writings, as can be done with any manifestation of art. Lovecraft depicted a kind of Christian myth of the struggle between opposing forces of light and darkness, between God and Satan in the Cthulhu mythos. Some critics may complain that this smacks more of the Manichaean heresy than it does of genuine Christian dogma. Yet, as a priest and as a former monk, I believe it is fair to say that this dogma is unfortunately very far removed from the majority of the faithful to be of much consequence. The idea of a war against Satan and of the entities of good and evil having roughly equivalent powers is perhaps best illustrated by the belief, common among the Orthodox churches of the East, in a personal devil as well as a personal angel. This concept has been amplified by the Roman Catholic Church to such an extent, perhaps subconsciously, that a missal in the editor's possession contains an engraving for the feast of St. Andrew, Apostle, for November 30th, that bears the legend, Esse qui tollis peccata mundi, behold him who taketh away the sins of the world. And the picture above it is of the atomic bomb. Basically, there are two sets of gods in the mythos. The elder gods, about whom not much is revealed, save that they are a star-bound race that occasionally comes to the rescue of man, and which corresponds to the Christian light, and the ancient ones, about which much is told, sometimes in great detail, who correspond to darkness. These latter are the evil gods who wish nothing but ill for the race of man, and who constantly strive to break into our world through a gate or door that leads from the outside in. There are certain people among us who are devotees of the Ancient Ones, and who try to open the gate so that this evidently repulsive organization may once again rule the earth. Chief among those is Cthulhu, typified by a sea monster dwelling in the great deep, a sort of primeval ocean, a being that Lovecraft, collaborator August Derleth, wrongly calls a water elemental. There is also Azathoth, the blind idiot god of chaos, Yog-Sothoth, Azathoth's partner in chaos, Shub-Niggurath, the goat with 1,000 young, and others. They appear at various times throughout the stories of the Cthulhu mythos in frightening forms, which test the strength and resourcefulness of the protagonists in their attempts to push the hellish things back to whence they came. There is an overriding sense of primitive fear and cosmic terror in those pages, as though man is... Yes, I'm aware of that, Jenner Green. Yeah, thank you, Anhedonic Gamer. Got him. Trying to make me seem like a loser reading by myself. Is that what you're trying to say? No, you're good. I'm just talking shit, bro. I don't really care if there's anybody watching, because the live will still be saved to my channel, and hopefully people will watch it eventually. Right now, I'm just trying to get my YouTube algorithm up, so hopefully my shit can start blowing up, you know what I mean? As though man is dealing with something that threatens other than his physical safety, his very spiritual nature. This horror cosmology is extended by the frequent appearance of the book, the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is, according to Lovecraft's tales, a volume written in Damascus in the 8th century AD by a person called the Mad Arab, Abdul al-Hazred. It must run roughly 800 pages in length, as there is a reference in one of the stories concerning some lacenae on a page in the 700s. It had been copied and reprinted in various languages, the story goes, among them Latin, Greek, and English. Dr. Dee, the magus of Elizabethan fame, was supposed to have possessed a copy and translated it. This book, according to the mythos, contains the formulae for evoking incredible things into visible appearance, beings and monsters which dwell in the abyss and outer space of the human psyche. Such books have existed in fact and do exist. Idris Shah tells us of a search that he conducted for a copy of the Book of Power by the Arab magician Abdul Qadir, The Secret Lore of Magic by Shah, of which only one copy was ever found. The Keys of Solomon had a similar reputation, as did the Magus by Barrett, until all of these works were eventually reprinted in the last 15 years or so. The Golden Dawn, a famous British and American occult lodge of the turn of the century, was said to have possessed a manuscript called The Veils of Negative Existence by another Arab. These were the sorcerer's handbooks, and generally not meant as textbooks or encyclopedias of ceremonial magic. In other words, the sorcerer or magician is supposed to be in possession of the requisite knowledge and training in which to carry out a complex magical ritual, just as a cook is expected to be able to master the scrambling of eggs before he conjures an egg benedict. The grimoires, or black books, were simply variations on a theme, like cookbooks, different records of what previous magicians had done, the spirits they had contacted, and the successes they had. The magicians who now read these works are expected to be able to select the wheat from the chaff, in much the same fashion as an alchemist discerning the deliberate errors in a treatise on his subject. Well, they just call it the Necronomicon, right? There's multiple different versions of the Necronomicon. Specifically, I would type in Simon Necronomicon, Simon. But if you just look up this, you'll find it with that specific symbol. Obviously, I'd say it's better to have a physical copy, but you can definitely find it for free on the internet. It's been around since like the 80s. All right, I'm gonna get to this section right here titled Samaria, and yeah, perfect. Yeah, and then I'm probably gonna go walk back and end the stream, but we'll at least get through these page and a half. Therefore it was, and is, insanity for the tyro to pick up a work on ceremonial magic like the Lesser Key of Solomon to practice conjurations. It would also be folly to pick up Crowley's magic in theory and practice with the same intention. I'm sorry, Jenner, I don't have anything specific I have to do, I suppose. But yeah, I gotta go back. I gotta clean up this pile of leaves because I was raking the leaves, but I left a pile and some animal made a nest out of it. So I gotta rake those before they like have babies or something, because I'd feel bad destroying their home, right? And I also do have work, closing shift. I may start streaming, right? I may start streaming again later. I'm just, my reading voice is getting kind of tired, honestly. I need like a glass of tea or something, but yeah, no, I'll be back. Just let me finish. I'll finish this page and a half, like I said, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys, seriously, for sticking around. You guys have stuck around since the beginning. I appreciate it, for real. Both books are definitely not for beginners, a point which cannot be made too often. Unfortunately, perhaps, the dread Necronomicon falls into this category. Crowley's magic was a testimony of what he had found in his researches into the forbidden and forgotten lore of past civilizations in ancient times. His Book of the Law was written in Cairo, Egypt, in the spring of 1904, when he believed himself to be in contact with a praetor-human intelligence called Aiwass, who dictated to him the 3 chapters that make up the book. It had influenced him more than any other, and the remainder of his life was spent trying to understand it fully and to make its messages known to the world. It, too, contains the formula necessary to summon the invisible into visibility, and the secrets of transformation are hidden within its pages. But this is Crowley's own Necronomicon, received in the Middle East in the shadow of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and therein is written not only the beauty, but the beast that yet awakens mankind. It would be vain to attempt to deliver a synopsis of Crowley's philosophy, save that its leitmotif is Rabelaison. I don't even know what this means, bro. Rabelaison? Am I trans? Alright, bye, Jenner. Good seeing you. Yeah, I'll do a stream tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do one every morning. I just wake up, I do my walk, and we're gonna try to finish this book together. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream. I'll see you later, dog. Love you, man. No, I'm not trans. I'm a male. A cisgender, straight, white male, as they would say nowadays. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. The actual meaning of this phrase has taken volumes to explain, but roughly it concerns the uniting of the conscious self with the unconscious self, a process of individuation which culminates in a rite called the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, the angel signifying the pure evolved self. Yet there are many terrors on the way to the self, and an abyss to cross before victory can be declared. Demons, vampires, psychic leeches, ghastly forms accost the aspiring magician from every angle, from every quarter around the circumference of the magic circle, and they must be destroyed lest they devour the magician himself. When Crowley possessed to have passed the obstacles and crossed the abyss of knowledge and found his true self, he found it was identical with the beast of the Book of Revelation 666, who Christianity considers to represent the devil. Indeed, Crowley had nothing but admiration for the Shaitan, Satan of the so-called devil-worshipping cult of the Yazidis of Mesopotamia, knowledge of which led him to declare the lines that open this introduction. For he saw that the Yazidis possess a great secret and a great tradition that extends far back into time, beyond the origin of the sun cults of Osiris, Mithra, and Christ, even before the formation of the Judaic religion and the Hebrew tongue. Crowley hearkened back to a time before the moon was worshipped, to the shadow out of time. And in this, whether he realized it as such or not, he had heard the call of Cthulhu. I'm confused. Cisgender. Oh. Yeah, I thought that's pretty stupid, right? No, cisgender. That's what they call... So you know how now you have like trans people and like... I mean, you got like a million different genders now, right? So cisgender is just what they call a normal person. Like just a normal... Like to me, right? You can make up whatever shit you want, right? But when it comes down to science... Biologically, there is only male and female. I'm a male, right? But in their terminology, they would call me a cis male or cisgender male. But I think it's bullshit, honestly. I guess that's up to your opinion. But I think that shit's stupid, to be honest. What's my race and ethnicity? Well, I'm what white people we would call a mutt, which means I'm a mix of a bunch of different races and ethnicities. Because think about this, right? When you say that somebody's white, what does that actually mean? Like, basically, when you say that, you're actually encompassing about 200 different countries and cultures. Like, if I told you that I had Irish heritage, you would believe it. Or if I told you I was German or Swedish or Belgian, or any of these things are considered white people. So I could tell you I'm any of those, but no, when it comes down to it, I mostly am a mix of Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, German, and English. Would be like that'd be like what I have the most blood in me, would be those 5. But I don't know, what about you, man? What's your race and ethnicity, scat man? I'm the scat man. No. Anunnaki of Gem City. Yeah, cisgender just means normal human being, basically. That's what I think. Guess that's up to you. Alright, well, I don't know who the one person is, but I appreciate you for joining the stream, guys. I'm gonna head out tomorrow. We will start on the section entitled Samaria in the Simon Necronomicon. In the meantime, like I said, go get yourself a physical copy, or just find a PDF online, catch up, watch the previous streams, whatever you gotta do, and we'll continue this tomorrow. So, thanks everyone who joined. I love y'all. I'll see you next time.